Welcome back, folks. Our Political Insider is brought to you by Digital Hearing Systems. For a free consultation and the lowest prices on premium digital hearing instruments, call Digital Hearing on our website at theworldreport.org. Everything looks favorable for a GOP Senate wins in 2014 except one thing. It's the Republicans. Infighting between the factions of the Republican Party show a widening divide. You've got the establishment leaders, you've got the Tea Partiers, and you've got the libertarian element, which Governor Christie calls dangerous. Maury, you mentioned it earlier that we had talked about off the air about the Democrats, whether they're moderate, communist, socialist, right of center, they all rally around each other.
It's called party discipline. They are much more mature in their political capability and knowledge because they know if you're a far-right Democrat, I don't care what you are, they realize if you want the committee chairmanships, if you want to have a majority in the House, the Senate, and the presidency eventually, you've got to stick together no matter what your beliefs are. They are much more mature in their greedy political outlook. The Republicans, the very fact that they had 22 candidate forums where they butchered each other and the last man standing happened to be Romney shows you how irrational and how unsophisticated and how naive the Republican Party has become.
And excellent point is the Republican chairman, Reince Priebus or whatever, Prince Priebus, whatever his name is.
Yes.
Anyways, he comes out and he says that we're not going to do debates on CNN or NBC if you do these Hillary miniseries. Why would you do them on CNN and NBC anyway? We talked about that during the election last year. Every single debate was moderated by a left-wing political hack.
No question about it.
Including Candy Crowley, who basically stole that second debate for Barack Obama. So why the Republicans would be so stupid is beyond me. And I feel like I have nobody representing me right now.
See, when you don't have the experience of power and how to keep it and use it, and you try to be Mr. Nice Guy, let's be nice. That's what Romney was. He's too nice. You don't go to a gunfight with a knife.
I don't think he wanted to win.
No, he wanted to be president. He just didn't want to do the dirty work necessary to become president.
Oh, there's a lot of dirty work that is necessary to become president.
That's my point.
And then once you become president, especially if you're a Republican, you better be ready to roll your sleeves up. So I don't know that he was ready for the fight.
He was not ready for the fight. I think he would have made a far better manager of this country than the one we have now.
Well, he's an established businessman. I mean, he actually made something.
Well,
he produced a product that somebody wanted. This administration has less than 10% private sector experience. Everyone in this top cabinet means none of them have had a real job.
But means the president, who really has awesome powers, really the most powerful man in the world, he doesn't. If you and I came to him with two divergent ideas, he wouldn't know the difference. I mean, how can you make a decision when you don't have the experience, the knowledge, or the intellect to be able to understand?
But isn't it interesting that the media and the intelligentsia makes him out to be the smartest guy in the world when he's actually got no experience at anything?
Because
healthcare, jobs, economy, coal, energy.
The media is as brainwashed on Obama as the German media was brainwashed on Adolf Hitler.
And you mentioned this off the air. You said you can see how someone like Hitler could come to power. When there's a vacuum of leaders there's no leadership.
He was charismatic. He scared the devil out of his enemies, and he embraced his friends, and he gave them jobs. Look, Hitler, the first 5 years, he was the most beloved man Germany ever had.
And he put his fist down and said, I am going to bring Germany back.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
And he went from 25% unemployment to 0. Now, a lot of that stuff was for making arms and doing things off the table. But he had no scruples of any type, as was found out to everybody's horror later on. But the point is, that's what people wanted. He was the maximum leader that brought Germany back to the greatness that they thought would last 1,000 years.
Now, we took a little fork in the road there. We'll get back to this Senate. The Democrats will be defending 21 Senate seats in November next year to just 14 for Republicans. 7 of those elections will be taking place in states where Mitt Romney won in 2012. Making matters worse is the Democrat incumbent senators are retiring in 3 of those 7. However, like I said at the top, the bad news is it's the Republicans. They usually find a way to mess it up.
Well, let's be a little bit optimistic. Let's hope things change, and let's hope that candidates that represent the Republican Party are at least good enough to give these guys a fight. What you're saying is correct. I think the wind is blowing in the right direction, as it did in 2010, but it was only because of the Tea Party. Without the Tea Party, you wouldn't have had the governors that were elected, you wouldn't have had the assemblies that were elected. I don't even know if we would have elected a Republican House without the Tea Party.
No, probably not.
So the point is, maybe this momentum from below will still take place. That's all we can hope for.
So for the Republicans to take control of the Senate, they need 6 wins. They need to win West Virginia, South Dakota, Arkansas, Alaska, Louisiana, and Montana. Pretty solid red states. You would think
yes,
that,
they are.
You know, anybody that was gambling would say that's a pretty good chance to win. However, I have to go back to the problem.
Yeah. But also we have to hope that somehow that the negatives of Obamacare will be so overwhelming that people will say, we just got to get anybody that's a Democrat out of there. We'll take anybody that's coming up with a GOP label.
But they just took the mandate for the big business and removed that until next year past the election.
Well, that's big.
So he picks and chooses what he wants to implement and what he doesn't.
That. And that's illegal, but nobody's calling him on it.
And they're also, Congress just became exempt. Congress and their staff. They're not...
no, they can go with their Cadillac insurance policies.
They don't have to be held to the same standards that we do. So now you're not going to have any griping from Congress. So he basically and there's 2,000 waivers to Obamacare, all the way from Nancy Pelosi's friends in San Francisco to Harry Reid's buddies in Nevada. And the unions don't want it either.
I've been there, done that. I lived through it as a kid. I know exactly how it was done, and it's being done the same way in this country today.
Now, without having a president on the top of the ticket, that changes things, like it did in 2010.
Yeah.
It becomes a lot more local.
Yeah.
What about keeping the House? You think the Republicans should keep the House?
I would say there's no question that they will keep the House.
Why don't they get a new leader in the House?
You know, look, the politics of politicians is a game all unto itself. This guy he's a weak Speaker of the House, and so is his number 2 guy. And unfortunately, that's just the way what do you mean? Why they don't? They can vote them down and get somebody else. But I have no idea how this is going to play out.
I really have very little faith in the leadership of the Republican Party.
Well, that I agree with.
Boehner, Cantor, McCarthy, McConnell, you know, none of those guys stands up for me.
They're all politicians. I don't even know what they stand for anymore.
Well, the Mike Lees, the Ted Cruzes of the world, Trey Gowdy, Louis Gohmert.
Well, you're talking about...
There's a handful.
Yeah, but you're talking about the House. You're not going to get John Boehner out. As weak and as impotent as he may seem, he still has enough support in the majority of the House.
And he's got to be very upset with the fact that there's a tax on tanning booths in Obamacare. I mean, that's going to drive him crazy.
Well, that might be the one that'll put
the only thing that would make it worse is if they put more taxes on cigarettes and vodka. Then he's really going to be upset. That's how you get him upset.
I think you're trying to make a point here, but
that's how you get him upset.
I'll take a pass. Yeah.
Okay, we're coming down the home stretch on the World Report, ladies and gentlemen. We'll return with our history segment and explore the effects of third-party candidates and how they've affected presidential elections in the past. Remember, if you missed the segment or if you want to learn more about the show, just go to theworldreport.org. We'll be right back.